let me begin by introducing you to the two funnel doctors. Add creative to landing page, e-commerce specific, resident experts in the house. Maya Pete, representing Common Thread Collective, the director of creative performance. Wow. I threw this question at both of them, and I love to open with this. If people suddenly tune out, lose their internet, Maya, what is the one thing you want them to hang on to, take away from this time?
I told you that this question was going to stress me out, but here I have a lot of things, and that's why you should stick around. Hopefully your internet doesn't bug out right now, but if you can take away one thing, remember that your users are not watching your ads on their desktop. They're watching them on their phone, and that is going to guide you throughout the rest of this.
Mobile first, small screens. And John McDonald, founder of The Good, a conversion rate optimization agency that I am quite partial to, if only because we share the same home, Portland, Oregon. Sir, same question for you. What's the one thing people should take away from this?
Well, I think so many brands have trouble reading the label from inside the jar. What I mean by that is they really need to talk to their consumers, and they need to track what's happening on their website so they can have empathy for their consumers. Too many brands are not understanding what their consumers are doing.
So quickly lose the eyes of an outsider, almost instantly.
Yes.
All right, well, now that we've got those two ideas locked down, let's start the avalanche. We're going to break this up into two parts, 2 rounds for each funnel we're going to be tearing down. The first is going to be add creative, and Maya's put together a checklist. She's going to run us through each time. So if you're able to give us a quick overview of what you're going to be looking at, paying attention to, a translation of these 10 different points that you pay attention to.
Yeah, well, hi again, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. As Aaron mentioned, I'm Maya, and I'm a creative conversions enthusiast. And so today I want to talk about a couple of the best practices for generating ads that convert. And that's really the goal, right? When we create ads, we want people to buy. When they're looking on Facebook, we want them to buy. But before I even dive into this checklist today, what I want you to remember, or actually 2 things I want you to remember is, one, just because these are best practices doesn't mean that they're the only practices. And so you have to exercise judgment and prioritization in which ones to include in your creative. And then the second thing to remember is to be aware of the Franken ad. It's really important, like I said, to prioritize the best practices that you want to include and which ones are less important for your particular creative, because if you try to squeeze everything into every single ad, it may come out looking quite monstrous. So a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about. First impressions. Are the first seconds engaging? Is the image thumb stopping? You're going to want to grab the audience's attention. They are dying to be entertained when they're on these platforms where we're advertising. That's why they're on the platform. And so you have to understand and strategize what you can give them that's not like anything else that they're seeing on their feed. Next, we move to the hero and the benefits. Is the product clearly the hero? Does this ad lead with benefits? So really think about this as in the way of how are you differentiating your product from everything else that's in the market. I am a self-diagnosed shopaholic. And so as a buyer, I want to know why I should buy your makeup, your deodorant, your skincare, your clothes over the ones that I've been buying for years that I trust. That brings us to our next point, action and trust. When it comes to buying things, when it comes to spending your money, whose opinions do you value the most? I'll tell you, your mom and your best friend. And so with our advertisement, we seek to recreate that feeling through testimonials, through user reviews and quotes that show that real users actually use these products. They're not phony, they're not fakes, and you're not going to lose your money on something that's not real. And then you have to tell the user to buy what they've bought into with your creative. It may seem frivolous and like, duh, you're going to click on this ad and buy, but we have to tell them, we have to give them an actionable thing to achieve. Second to last thing to remember is clarity. So this was my big takeaway. Remember that you're designing for your users to view on mobile. It's hard to remember that when we spend all day creating on our computers, on our big screens, on our 4 large screens and our standing desks, but they are consuming your advertisement on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat, all on this little itty bitty phone. And so that is something that's really crucial to remember when you're creating. And the last thing is just clarity again, right? Clarity across all your devices. Even though you're designing for mobile, how might somebody see this on their desktop? If for some reason they still view Facebook on their computer, we have to make sure that we can compensate for that. So with that, that's my rundown on this checklist. Back to you, Aaron.
And we're going to see it in just a moment. John, you brought equally 10 points. How perfectly weighted. I can't imagine how that worked out, bucketed into 5 categories. How about a rundown on the landing page side of things once someone clicks through?
Well, what's really important is always that first impression, right? My mom always told me you have one chance to make a first impression. It's no different on a landing page. The best way to do this is to run the 5-second test. Ask a customer or somebody who doesn't know that much about your business to perform what's called a 5-second test. Can they answer within 5 seconds? Do they know who owns the site? And does it match the expectations from a search result or that ad that they clicked on, right? And secondly, do they understand what kinds of products or services that they're selling when they reach that page? And lastly, do they understand the product or services and what they're for? And is it easy to determine if they're the target market or not, right? If they can answer those 3 questions within 5 seconds of seeing that landing page, you've won, right? You will convert them. And then second, think about this. Are there just a few distractions on that page? So many landing pages try to do everything for everyone. And that is a recipe for disaster. It's like baking a cake, but putting all the ingredients in for every single type of cake you possibly would like instead of the vanilla cake that is just going to taste good if you leave it that way. So is the website element that is most important to your business front and center and the first things they notice? Eliminate things like pop-ups and live chat widgets and carousels that scroll all over, and really focus on delivering the message. Moving on to the hero and navigation, we really want to know, is the headline a value proposition? Too many people make this hero all about themselves. It's all about the brand and communicating some type of message like that. You really need to focus on, will the consumer's life be better after purchasing your product, right? And so if you're thinking about that, don't focus on the features, focus on the benefits purely and what makes you different, what makes your brand stand out and do that better. And then, are there shopping links in your navigation? And if there are, do you have less than 5 items in that navigation? We really want to keep it limited, especially on a landing page. You don't want to send everywhere, folks to everywhere on your site. So really be thinking about not telling the brand story as part of your navigation. So keep things like about us and our story, et cetera, off of that page. Instead, really focus on the products, getting them to the categories that they might be interested in. Thinking about the body content as you move down that page a little bit, you really want to focus again on being benefits and customer focused in your copy. Really focus on highlighting things like, how do the product features help people to solve a problem that they have, right? Folks are only at your website because they have a pain or a need that needs solved, and they think your site can help them do that, right? So the ad has generated that pain or need, and they think, yeah, if I click this ad, it's going to get resolved by this product or service that I'm going to check out. You need to meet that expectation with the content. So really want to be focusing on speaking to your customers in the way that is important to them. 6 is all about addressing questions and objections. We often say here at The Good that FAQ pages are where good content goes to die. If it is truly a frequently asked question, you want to put it and answer that objection and that question on this landing page. Don't bury it on its own page. Please, please, please get rid of your FAQ page. move that content where the question is being asked. It's very important. And then seventh, on my list is, are reviews and ratings present, and are they prominent? Maya said it great. Who's going to do this? Your mom and your best friend is going to tell you what you should be checking out. And so social proof is equally important in the ad, but it's just as important once it gets to the consumer gets to your page, that is showing some alignment there. So, really focus on verified purchases, right? Things that folks will trust, and include real names, faces, and brands to make it super tangible. Is there a guarantee or assurance? This is all about including things like free shipping, free returns, satisfaction guarantees. Eliminate the objections, right? Through guarantees or assurances. So free shipping will help your conversions. I promise you, bake it into the price. They'll pay a couple extra dollars, even if it means that they'll get free shipping. They love that. So moving all the way down to the bottom, we're going to check out footers today. Really want to see what we call the trust trifecta. Do you have the address, a physical address, a phone number, and an email address in your footer? Talking about social proof, I'm going to give my money to somebody I know I can track down, right? Much more readily than somebody who I can't. So don't hide from your customers. I promise you, no one's going to come knocking on your door. And if they do, they probably want to buy something from you, right? So here's the reality. Make sure you have all three of those on your page and your footer, and you will convert. Lastly, are there shopping links in that footer? So many brands forget that when people get all the way down to the footer, they're actually interested in your site, in your brand, in your products. That's why they took the time to look at all that content and get down there. Once they're there, don't make them go hunting. Let them take the next step in the funnel. Give them product categories that they can click through to that might be of more interest to them than the one they landed on.
We've got the rules of the road. Okay. Now we're going to ring the bell and introduce some ads to landing pages to really just put this into action. And what I want to do is essentially only show everybody here the ad, and just play it cold. I'm not going to give you any context for, what's it about. We're just going to play it and then chop it up according to these two categories. All right.
As an aircraft engineer, I use the mechanical pencil every day, but it bothered me that there were cheap plastic throwaway items. I searched for a well-made pencil, but I couldn't find one that would fit the bill. I wanted a sleek, minimal mechanical pencil that would stand the test of time. I knew I had to make one myself. Our pencil starts with a sleek, minimal exterior. It presents a flawless face to the world, even when the inner workings are complex. The exterior is made out of two major parts, a cone and a body. However, when it's assembled, it appears like a seamless piece of metal. In our manufacturing process, we start with a solid piece of metal and make the body and the cone on a Swiss lathe. We then assemble the two pieces together and then send them through the lathe again. This mates the two pieces, and this cone will only ever fit this body seamlessly. Most pencils, even expensive ones, use standard off-the-shelf mechanisms, which are usually plastic. These stock mechanisms are not only cheap and won't last long, oftentimes they force the very specific exterior of the pencil as well, compromising both the quality and the design. The modern fuel mechanical pencil is made with a completely custom, all-metal internal mechanism, and I've made them interchangeable, so you can use the mechanism that fits your lead size preference, either 0.5, 0.7, or 0.9 millimeters. The modern fuel pencil can be taken apart and reassembled with no loss of quality or workmanship, and it's guaranteed for 100 years. Every pencil comes with instructions for common things like changing the mechanism, the pencil itself, an Allen wrench for disassembly and reassembly, extra erasers, and extra lead.
I'm just laughing out. Great comment there from Sean, again, getting sold. Yeah, that's right. All right, Maya, ball's in your court. Ding, ding. Here we go.
Well, let me start by saying I want this pencil. So this ad is doing something right. And I want to dive into some of those good things. But first, before we talk about the things that I think could make it even better. So this ad excels at visual proof for the most part, right? It's showing you how the pencil is assembled. It's showing you side-by-side comparisons of your basic pencil that you probably used all throughout high school versus this elite instrument that you can use for years to come. It also explains why this pencil is better than the one that you normally use. And if you remember, that was one of my big things. How do we distinguish this product from the products that I've been using all the years of my life? Pencils are one of those things that are such a staple. You have to really convince your audience that they need a new pencil, because what is wrong with the $2 pencil that I buy from CVS that you can twist and the lead comes out easily? This one that he's talking about right there. So here is where I think that this ad could be improved. First of all, if I'm scrolling, why would I stop on this? If I'm not attracted to this man, if I don't know anything about the pencils, why would I stop on this ad? I have literally no idea what's going on. And I know this isn't content that my friends have posted because the production value is just through the roof, right? We need to establish some context. Who should care about this product and why should they care about it? And I know we have this like visceral reaction to adding text and bars and all these things that seem to cheapen our visuals to the finished visual product. But those are the things that allow people to say, oh, actually, I'm going to stop on this. Something like the pencil that engineers can't live without would make me be like, I don't even care. Really, I haven't used a pencil in so long. I have an iPad, but I'm wondering why can't engineers live without this pencil? Some type of context to get us into this ad would increase the number of people that engage with it right off the bat. The next thing I mentioned as my huge takeaway, designing for mobile. Another big thing is designing for sound off. If I'm out at the grocery store and I'm just waiting in line, I'm probably not going to play this out loud because there's some tacit rules against, sharing your sound with the greater population of Walmart. And so how am I going to know what's going on in this ad if there are no captions? I have no idea what he's saying. I'm just looking at this pencil. I'm probably going to lose my concentration or my interest in it because I just don't know what makes it good. Which brings me to my next point. He talks about all these benefits, but if I'm watching with no sound, I have no idea what the benefits are. And so including some benefits sliding in throughout this video would really increase the ability for the consumer, potential consumer, to engage with it. I think it's a very long ad. I think it runs about 2 minutes, which is good for Facebook sometimes, but for other platforms, you have nearly 1.5 seconds to engage somebody. You'd be hard pressed to get 2 full minutes of their time. But if they do, you're probably going to convert them. So there's probably a high conversion rate on an ad like this because somebody that sticks it out is willing to buy. And there are some good benefits and sides to that. I don't see any reviews about this product. I just hear this man, who I assume is one of the founders or creators or is really bought into this product, talking about how good his product is. And you know what? A+ for believing in yourself. But I want to see what people like me say, right? I want to know, if I'm not an engineer, is this pencil even usable for me? These are the reviews, the social proof. That's a chance for you to demystify and debunk and really give people an opportunity to engage with people that they find relatable to them. Last 2 things that I might add to this creative: call to action. We already talked about why it's important. People need to be told what to do and what they're going to get. And then proof that it works. He never writes with the pencil. I have no idea what it looks like, right? I want to know that this pencil can actually write. It's sleek, it's gorgeous. And honestly, like I said, shopaholic, so I might buy it just for that. But functional, if the engineers are using it, if we're trying to sell these people, right, if that is our main persona, engineers, tech guys, mathematicians, and that all of them of the like, those are the people that you have to sell with proof because they are very much analytically driven. So that's my spiel on this ad.
Okay, I'm fighting myself to highlight some of those things, but I'll hold off. And let's pretend we click through, we land thusly. hand it over to John. You just let me know when to scroll.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's fire right there, Maya. So I'm gonna have a lot to lead up to here. Yeah, great ad, right? Obviously some concerns. I think part of what concerns me as I first get to this page is the same thing that Maya said just a second ago was show me that it works, and B, it's how is it better than the one that I can buy for $2? Right? This is a high price point item. And right here, it's telling me that it's got the precision and the quality. So they're trying to, get those benefits out there, but I don't know how it's necessarily going to make my life better. Right? Why is it worth so much more than that $2 pencil that I can get? But I do like right up front, the navigation tells me exactly what they sell, right? And it's all about the consumer, that pen, pencil, bolt action, sets, and accessories. Perfect. Kept it product focused. Love it. And I like that, they do show the product front and center, and that's great. And hey, if I'm ready to buy, I can order it right now. And they give me a couple of bullet points of why I should do that. So I like that aspect. If we keep going down a little bit here, Aaron, to the next side, we see right away that it has some social proof, right? Raised over $500,000 on Kickstarter. Now, it is a form of social proof that, hey, other people must like this. If it raised $500,000 on Kickstarter, that's pretty impressive. And then we're finally getting into why are all the expensive pencils cheaply made? Okay, it's a bit of a tongue twister in the copy. I have to think about that a little bit, but I think he's trying to make the point here that, as an aerospace engineer, that he used a regular pencil every day. Here's what is better. I would almost rather see bullet points here as opposed to paragraphs. Generally, when you first hit a landing page like this, people are just trying to get acquainted. They're not ready to deep dive into a founder story just yet. So here's the founder story. I think this is great to have maybe as the next piece of content, but not the best thing to have here. It's really not about the consumer. Now we're talking about the story with the founder. And that is important, but not exactly at this stage. So if we keep going down the page here, Aaron, now we're talking all about how it's made, and they spend a lot of time on this, and I understand the pride of how it's made. And as Maya was saying, cheers to Andrew or the engineer here for really being happy and proud of the product that they've made. But as a consumer, maybe as that engineer type of mentality, I might be really excited about this, but it's a lot to be looking at. If you keep going a little bit here, Aaron, you'll see there's like 3 of these panels. You can go one more. It's got a lot of text mixed in with really sensory overload on these images. I'm really looking at these like, wow, what is going on? And I'm reading the text. If we did eye tracking on these pages, I can almost guarantee you nobody is reading that text, or at least not much of it. And I think that's a problem. You're wasting space and asking people to have a high, what I like to call cognitive load. You're asking them to do a lot of work to understand how this benefits them. Really don't want to do that. So next scroll here, we get this panel and all of a sudden it's just like, okay, buy me, order now. And I'm like, well, I still don't know how much it is. We haven't seen the price anywhere, right? If you think about it, we're now almost all the way down to the end of the page. We still haven't seen a price. What I have seen is all this stuff about the quality. So I'm being set up. I'm like, man, this might be $1,000 pencil. I don't know. Like they're talking about this quality so much and how much effort goes into it. I know the price point's going to be higher, but I still haven't seen much social proof. I still don't know why it's going to benefit me. I just know I'm ordering something that's high quality. So that's a challenge here. If we go down, I do like how, again, we're getting into what the purpose is, what the product, but again, it's a lot of content in a small area. You're really asking people to deep dive into these and read each little piece and spend a lot of time here. I'd want to do some eye tracking studies on this. I'd want to do some user testing. Something like this is definitely not going to pass a 5-second test. If I put this pencil in front of somebody and said, give him 5 seconds and said, okay, tell me about this pencil. Most people don't know what a knock is or a cone, or they say, oh, mechanism. What do they mean by that? What's in there? Right. So it's a lot of complication. Yeah. Brian here said in the comments that it looks like engineers wrote this, and you're spot on. This is not layman's terms. You always want to speak in the terms of the consumer. What language would they use? So next page. So now we're all of a sudden getting into what the metals are. Again, I still don't know what the price is. I still don't know what I'm potentially buying. I still haven't seen it in action. But all of a sudden I'm being told about bronze, stainless steel, titanium, and copper. And I'm just like, do I care? Why should I care? Right? Why are you telling me this? So again, this is engineer speak. They are really interested about the metals that are being chosen. As a consumer, I just want to know, I want one that looks like an heirloom or is lightweight or that I can throw around the job site and it's not going to be a problem, right? So tell me in one sentence, what is important about these? All right. So now we finally get to the price. But before that, you're priming me with $50 by saying it's a limited time offer. I save $50 on a matching pen, but then I see the price is $150. So I think that, you know, what's happening there is they're trying to say this is an incentive, a special, but you're priming the consumer around that $50 mark. So I would move that content down so that consumers don't see 50 and then all of a sudden see 150. And that now I'm like, oh man, it's 150. I just was somehow I had $50 in my mind. So I really wonder here, again, I don't know what the benefit is of the different types of metal, the why I would choose different lead sizes, or if I want a pen, right? I still have no understanding of those, and I'm being asked to make a bunch of decisions here. So let's keep going down, please. And then I can personalize, which hadn't been talked about at all. What's that personalization going to look like? Where's that engraved? What font is it? I just don't know any of these details. Wouldn't I want an eraser? Add a matching eraser plug. I thought it came with one. It was in all the descriptions, and now I'm having to add it. And then I get down. Now we have a little bit of a description. I like that they started with the bullet points and what it includes. I think all of this is great. But I do almost wonder if we should embed that video that was in the ad on this page, because they did a good job of explaining a lot about the quality and things. I think that performed a lot better than the content that's here. I think we'll get down to the footer next, perhaps. Oh, now we're in FAQs. Two things about these. First is, again, I said earlier, FAQs is where good content goes to die. Please don't do this on your pages. Instead, what are the dimensions of the pencil? Where is somebody asking that? If it's on this page, bake it where that question is happening, not burying it in its own navigation. Also, we have done hundreds of tests on embedded navigations. What do I mean by that? Where a consumer has to click on something within a page in order to see the content, and they don't do it. They just don't do it. Just keep scrolling past this instead of clicking that arrow. So any of these side to side, navigations that have two arrows, sorry, this is backwards for me, two arrows like this, and you have to click it to go back and forth, doesn't work very well, right? So I would take these and bake these into the content up above. If these are truly frequently asked questions, why are we answering questions up above and all that other content that people aren't having yet? So, all right, reviews. Now we're getting into reviews. There's a couple of things about reviews we should always be thinking about. I will tell you that 5 stars leads to distrust. If you have only 5-star reviews, people are not going to trust it as much as if you have like some 4 and 3-star reviews. I think they have a couple of those here, which is good. There's always something where UPS crushed the package or, delivered it to your neighbor or something, right? And somebody gets online and complains about that. If you only have 5-star reviews, consumers think you've scrubbed it, right? So you don't want that. Also, you should never have a leave a review button on your page. Every one of the sites we looked at today has that. So I won't call it out again, but know that having leave a review increases distrust, because people are like, oh, well, anyone could have come and left a review here. It doesn't have to be a verified buyer. I do like here that they say Lee is a verified buyer, although I can promise you, nobody is reading this review because it is so long, right? It's a novel. I call this a wall of text. People have hit that wall of text and they're done. They're going to bounce off this page, not going to keep going. So if you keep scrolling here, Aaron, you'll see that there's lots of reviews that people have to get through. And then there's like over 10 pages of reviews that nobody's clicking on. So that navigation there. So really stick to the 1 or 2 good reviews that you want to highlight, and maybe one that is like a so-so review that you then respond to. And I think you'll be much better off, right? And then we get down to the navigation here. They have contact address and a phone number. So that's, or excuse me, an email. So that's good, but they're missing a phone number. If I'm buying a $150 pencil and I got a question, might pick up the phone because that's an expensive pencil, right? It's an investment piece, right? So it's something to be thinking about there. And then they buried shop in the middle. Swap, learn, and shop, and actually move Modern Fuel LLC over above contact, right? So now the navigation says should have shop, learn, brand, and contact. Consumers want to get hold of you. Promise you, they will scroll all the way down to your footer. Look in the bottom right-hand corner. That is where they want to find that information.
Those review tips, I'm digging that out for the email follow-up, I swear, and the tweets after this. Next up into the hopper, Four Sigmatic. Here we go.
Four Sigmatic makes coffee crash-free by adding in functional mushrooms from places like this.
Hyvää huomenta.
Four Sigmatic, deliciously balanced for body and mind.
And
All right.
Maya.
Yeah, hello again. So what this ad does well, I'm just going to kind of stick to the similar format that we did for the last ad. So this one nearly immediately sets context, right? It says Four Sigmatic delivers coffee crash free or makes coffee crash free. It's entertaining. It's funny. It might keep you engaged, and it's quick. It's to the point. It educates you. You know, it tells you why this coffee will keep you from crashing a little bit, if you can draw that implication. And it has captions, and that is my favorite flavor. I love captions. Now, where this ad could be improved, immediately you are aware that this is an ad because they say Four Sigmatic, the name of the brand, makes coffee crash free. Is there a way for us to engage our users without introducing the brand right off the bat? They know it's from your brand, right? They know it's coming from the brand page. It says sponsored. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all of the social media platforms want to make sure that their users aren't being tricked. So they know that this is a sponsored post from your brand. How do we get them in to be interested in this creative? Could we say this coffee is making, your days crash free or something? And you're like, well, what coffee? Let me keep looking, because at this point I'm either sold or I'm not, right? We already said the brand. I'm like, you know what? My community coffee is also crash free. I'm just going to go back to that. Let's talk about why this coffee is different. I think you know what I'm going to say about the call to action situation. There is none. Add some. It's going to improve your click-through rate in a way that you are just going to be astounded by. And it's pretty crazy, but it's a very easy thing to do to get people to click through on your ads. The copy that they have, it's there, and it's really great for us to be able to engage with what's being said in the content, but it's not all accessible. So maybe it's a me thing, right? But like I said, self-proclaimed shopaholic, I'm the market. What are functional mushrooms and what are places like this, right? It says we add functional mushrooms from places like this. The forest, great. Maybe it's the forest. Is it a forest somewhere else, right? Why? And what makes these mushrooms functional? Could we say something more engaging and more accessible and inclusive of a broader audience? Could we say something like, it includes ingredients that boost X, Y, and Z in order to keep you from A, B, C, and D, right? Now we've engaged them. Now they're like, oh, you know what? I relate to those things. It was easy for me to engage. I don't have to know anything about mushrooms. By the way, mushrooms kind of sound a little bit disgusting in my coffee. I'm not sure about that, right? It's another point of engagement that you can use to bring people into your brand. Reviews and user proof. So this one actually has reviews, but I don't know if anybody caught it. I would be surprised. You see right there, it's 4.5 stars. And then at the bottom, it says something really small, but I can't read it on my computer. How are people able to read it on their phones? Even more important though, than just showing that it has 4.5 stars. And by the way, most people always say 5 stars. So I think it's interesting that they chose 4.5 to I would be really interested to see if 4.5 beats 5 or 5 beats 4, but I still don't know what those reviews say. Why are you getting 4.5 stars? Is it because the coffee is good, but I kind of crashed a little bit? Or is it because it's great and these functional mushrooms are allowing me to like go throughout my day and be happy, and it doesn't give me coffee breath? Like what do those reviews mean? What do those stars mean? And who is giving them? Breathe some life into your user community by adding reviews or adding testimonials. Excuse me. This product or this ad at the end could have included something that's really interesting in driving up your average order value. And I'm willing to bet that they have more than one product offering, more than one type of this coffee. Maybe they have a decaf variant. And so that's something that in this slide right here at the end, you can scroll through some of your different products. And that allows people to go to the site and say, I actually want this one. And I want to taste that one as well. And maybe this one. So that's just a fun tip, not necessary, but like it could be a cool way to drive up AOV. And then what I would have loved to see throughout this ad or at the end of the fun part of this is some benefits, right? What we talked about, ingredients that do X, Y, and Z, coffee that allows you to A, B, and C, description of the taste, right? Maybe it's, I'm not a coffee lover, so excuse me, right? But I want to know, what are the flavors bold? Is it like something that I should put my creamer in? Is it not? Should I just drink it black? Like, describe it to me. Allow me to engage in this coffee with you. That's it.
See how it stacks up. By the way, I'm taking frantic notes and trying to control my facial expressions and doing a terrible job at it as you hit some of these points. And I see some of the questions about CTAs we'll revisit in just a moment too. But let's just look at the landing page then.
All right, let's dive right in here. So first thing they say up top with the promo bar is get a box of plant-based protein with on us. I still don't know really what you're selling. Now you're telling me again, I got to get, now that you have another product that I should buy, and you haven't even sold me on the first one, right? So on a landing page, would not do that. Actually, we've tested hundreds of these promo bars. The only ones that really matter are free shipping. And that's really because you're reducing the fear. I mean, how many times, Aaron, have you gone to buy something online, you add it to cart, you get in there, and then you're like, oh man, I got to pay $10 for shipping. That's way more than I really wanted to pay. So you bounce, right? Eliminating that fear right up front in this bar and just saying free shipping, even if it's free shipping with orders over X dollars, perfect. It will convert better. You're eliminating that fear. I'm not a huge fan of their navigation on this page. First of all, I'd see the logo in the top left, and then it's telling me to go back to shop all. Well, why are you sending people someplace else already? They just got here, right? So I would eliminate that. The nav around shop, learn, and membership. First of all, you haven't sold me on the first one, so I don't want a membership. Same thing I said earlier. Second, what am I learning about? I'm here to learn. I'm here on this page to learn, right? So don't send me someplace else. And then shop. I thought I was shopping. So so really, again, make this a product focused navigation. And let's, what are the different types? Obviously, you have proteins, I just found out, right? So otherwise, I do like that they have ground mushroom coffee with lion's mane. Now we're getting into the flavor a little bit, that it brews smooth, dark, and remarkably crash-free. It has 16 servings. I think that, that's great, but I would like to see a little more of a bullet point checklist up here. Something that kind of really just gets into it's 16 servings, right? Don't bury that information in a paragraph at this stage. And then you're really trying to push me into a subscription is the first option, $16 a month to try now. I'd like to try now, don't get me wrong, but I don't like that they're pushing you to subscription model first. I think that that's a great upsell opportunity, but if it's the first time I've seen this via the ad, why would I subscribe, right? I'm not ready to do that. So we can go down the page a little more here. I don't know if you saw there, I passed over quickly, but they had a link that said, see all the benefits, and it was set, and it said 7. I want to know what those 7 benefits are. Why did you hide those from me, right? Here they've got some, great icons calling out some of the unique features and benefits. I think this could be helpful, that it's organic. People are interested in these types of things. So that's great to see. But again, here we are, that research shows our coffee is a little bit magic. Okay, I'm intrigued, But now, again, we're getting into kind of that founder's story about why they crafted this, right? As opposed to what are the key points of what's it gonna do for me, right? Do I care that your coffee is a little bit of magic? I mean, it's an intriguing headline, but the reality is I want to know what's the benefit for me. That's what you need to lead with here, right? Let's keep going down page, please, Aaron. Now we're talking about naturally upgraded coffee. Okay, now I'm hooked. I wish that was what they said up top. They're selling naturally upgraded coffee because now I can understand it, right? It's coffee that's been naturally upgraded. Sounds great. Sounds healthy. Sounds, not like they're adding a bunch of stuff in there. So I like this. I did not watch this video. I will confess, I don't know if anybody else did, but I don't like the play button. It needs to be filled in so it draws attention and has a little more contrast there so people know they can click on that and play it. But video does sell. I like it when brands put video on their pages, especially landing pages, because it's likely people just came from social network where they're bombarded with moving images and all that jazz. And then they get to your site and it's like, static page, it gets boring real quick, right? So let's move down a little bit here, Aaron. All right, so here we're getting into some bullet points, but each of these bullet points is like a paragraph, right? There's a lot of text here, so much text on this site. Really need to pare this down. What is the one or two things you want me to know? That it's organic, fair trade, single origin, and just leave it at that, right? You're trying to tell me what it is, where it's from, that it's ground, that it's ready to brew, and I can do it in whatever makes me happy, all in one bullet point. Come on, that's a lot to convey in one bullet point. That's 5 bullet points by itself. So I would really think about breaking this down. What is the one or two things in each of these bullet points that you want me to know? And I think that would really be important here. So really just reducing the text is going to be really important here because there's a lot to look at in that image. She's making coffee. I get it. And then, I'm already looking around her kitchen and stuff before I've read any of the text. So. All right. Now, most people know who Joe Rogan is. I'm not really a listener, but I know who he is, right? And so it's damn good for you is a great headline. I think that it matches that picture, the image of Joe Rogan's podcast grabs your attention. I would almost say make it grayscale so that it doesn't detract from all the text on the left that you want people to read. But I do like this, despite the fact that and while it fits Joe Rogan's personality to perhaps offend a few people with that text, but if the reality is that they're really going for the expertise-based model here, I almost think that instead they should really focus and lead with the doctor, right? If it's truly as a health product and something that you have a physician and New York Times bestselling author, that is likely to appeal to this crowd a little more based on the ads. Okay, now we're finally getting into what's in it, right? I still didn't know. I knew it had mushrooms, but I had no idea what type of mushrooms, etc. You can also see here 2 things that kind of concern me. The first is that they have that plus so you can expand next to each of those. But the reality is most people aren't going to click that. They just think it's decorative, right? Second of all, now they're getting into a warning about California residents and Prop 65. Is this really necessary? If illegal says it's here, then okay, I get it that it's necessary, but that does worry me. Like, whoa, what's Prop 65 and why do I have to be concerned about that? So I don't know if this is where I would put that. Maybe down in the footer is a great place for that content if that's legally acceptable. I'm definitely not a lawyer. Okay, now we're getting into some social proof. Names that everybody's probably heard of, right? If we asked you if you've heard of Time or Goop or Bon Appetit, yes, you probably have heard of them, right? So you trust those. I love how it's short and digestible for each. That's really great. Now we're getting back into frequently asked questions. I'm going to get off my soapbox about FAQs. All the same thing apply here. So we can move on from that. All right, feel the difference or it's free. If I still have objections, they're here to bust them for me. But why was this buried so far down the page? You could have put this up in the product detail block up top where I'm ordering and where I might have that objections. I don't really know if I'm ready to buy this or subscribe. But if there's a money back guarantee, it's like, man, I'll give it a try, right? What do I have to lose? I have to send an email to get my money back? Maybe, we'll see. All right, we're back to reviews. Again, they have write a review, which is a challenge. I do like that they have verified buyers. I'm not a huge fan. I wish that they would just choose 4 or so reviews and display those. Again, we have tons and tons of reviews on this page. Also, you see that tab that says questions next to reviews up there? Guarantee you nobody's clicking on that. Do some click tracking on that, and I bet you that it's a very, very few people that are answering those questions or asking them, even though there's 82 questions and 82 answers. So again, there's a lot of great content there. It's probably buried. And I bet you, the brand is doing a great job of answering those questions though. All right, we can just keep going on down here. I was just making our way down the page. Okay, only thing that I really want to talk about that is different than what I talked about in the last time with the footers is the email sign up down here. If you're going to have an email sign up form, 3 things. First is lead with a promotion, not a dollar or percentage discount. Dollar or percentage discount is telling people our products aren't worth what we charge for them. They're worth 10% less. And all you have to do to get that is give me your email address. Well, your other thing is I have no idea what I'm going to get with the 500,000 other shroomers, right? What am I signing up for? You got to set expectations. How often you're going to email me? What type of emails are you going to send me? And then also, what is the benefit for me? Lastly, thing that's missing is privacy. I have no idea what you're going to do with my email address. I'm going to give it to you and what? I don't know, right? Have just a really short privacy statement underneath. We'll never sell or give away your email address. We respect your privacy. Boom, done. I trust it enough to give you my email. You've addressed what it is that I'm going to receive and how often I'm going to receive it. And I know I can get free shipping or some type of promo, but it's not going to be a dollar percentage off.
This next one, because we're rapidly running out of time. We haven't done a still image yet. And I'm selfishly so curious, Maya, especially to send it back over to you, even if we don't get into the full landing page, because we got one particular burning CTA question. I also want to throw your direction, Maya, but let's start with, let's at least end off with one still image ad. How do you tear something like that down?
Yeah, I'll be quick with it for sure. This one is the outlier in my opinion, right? At first glance, it doesn't look like it would perform well based on all the best practices that we just discussed. However, I received word that it crushed it in their account. So the question is why? Well, we can start by taking a look at what this ad actually does well if we really look at it. It speaks to its specific audience, right? This car, the way it looks, the way it's edited. This is a specific group of people. And so Facebook is serving it to a very narrow audience that, once it's learned some, that is going to convert on this ad. And then it tells the audience exactly what they want to hear. And it's quick. The last UTV wash you'll ever buy. Why? I'm wondering. I'm going to click into it. And if you were to create a video about this, I would say, go into some of the details as to what makes it the last UTV wash you'll ever buy. It has a call to action, even though it's kind of implied, right? You'll ever buy it. This is your call to action. It's the last one you'll ever buy. And it's easy to read. The copy is easy to read. It stands out. It's not in competition with the image because it's so bold on its own. And so I think that that's why this ad converts so well. Now, if I were to iterate on this ad and continue testing, because that is the next challenge once you've found something that works, how do you keep it going? How do you keep that momentum going? What does UTV mean to a broader audience that isn't this specific audience that is going to get served this specific type of creative? What does this wash do, or what are the ingredients that does it have that other washes don't have that makes it the last UTV wash you'll ever buy? And who should use this, right? Monster truck drivers, regular drivers, dads, brothers, sons, mothers, like who should be using this? Let's see what audience engages the most. So that's my quick analysis of why this ad did well. And also a reminder that best practices are meant to be something that you build on, but they shouldn't limit you in terms of the way you think about generating creative for your audience. You should know your audience the best.
I like that you call attention to the CTA in this one, because that came up a number of times when you were talking, particularly about the Four Sigmatic, or even the first ad from Modern Fuel. What is the difference when you talk about a CTA? Are you talking about the button, the shop now, the learn more? What are you talking about when you say CTA, or this doesn't have a CTA?
Yeah, no, I am. Okay, so, and I saw the question. I'm saying include it in your ad, and I'm saying that Facebook only gives you a set amount, right? You can learn more, you can shop now, you can subscribe. But what about those things that you really want to tell your consumer, right? Get the best wash you've ever had. Get coffee that doesn't, X. Those short, quick things that are very quick takeaway that makes me say, I want to action that product, whatever that action is. And so that's your call to action that you want to include in your creative. And sometimes it's as simple as shop now and a quick arrow down to the button that they need to click, because once you've engaged them in this creative that's sitting in the middle of their feed, you need to draw their eye to where they need to click to get out of the feed and to the landing page.
If we had time, and I'll make sure that everybody knows, for the questions in the Q&A, I'm just going to blaze through, get to the good closer down, how folks can dig in. Here we go. I'm just going to keep talking and rolling. Look, we even had another one. Nope, sorry, but oh, thank you for submitting. You'll get the keynote of this. You'll have all the scrolls, and I mean, I'll just promise you the world as I continue to, what was I even thinking, loading all of this up. Here we go. Here we go. I promise you, I'm looking at just a couple more, ready for it. And okay, here it is. The screenshot. Let me go out of here, back into, should have this in the stock. If there's one screenshot to take away and then hang your hat on everything else throughout, this is it. So go ahead, grab this one. The 20 all-in-one slide. Click, we'll send you a high res of this eventually as well. And second to last, then last, John, since you've given us so many good tips, you can't possibly have more, can you?
A whole book full. So feel free to go and get a free copy of our book. You can just go to thegood.com/book/common thread. Use the code in checkout common thread, and we will make sure it is free. You can go sign up for our email. And if you want to use email, you know what? Just email me directly if you have a question, you want that link or that book for free. I'll make sure you get put in the right place, and I'm happy to answer any questions we didn't get to today.
You'll also get our special 90 ad swipe file. We're going to send this out in a few days after the webinar has been uploaded. You get the replay. You can watch it yourself. I see one person was asking, Charmin, here it is. I think this is the one you were talking about. Get that screenshot, zoom in if necessary. And before I say thanks for joining us, I would be remiss if one of the things I didn't hear over and over again, and I want to end on this note, was both of you really stressed clarity, whether in the CTA, clarity when it appears on a device, particularly don't be afraid to sacrifice what we might call brand or aesthetics for clarity. And I just, as someone who lives and dies by the data, and my goodness, I wish, I just really want to send you some of our common thread landing pages as well now. And maybe Maya will entertain me to do some of this afterwards. Clarity, 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 those bullet points. What's the one thing? What's the one thing? We're gonna wrap up a few of these more. We'll look at your questions as well afterwards, see how many of those we can divvy up and dive into if you didn't get them answered. And big thanks to our guests. Maya, thank you for joining us. John, thank you for giving us your time. And do not be strangers. We'll be reaching out very soon. Thanks.